Coming up on WUFT Midday, the afternoons are warm, but overnight temperatures are colder. Tonight, I've got your weather forecast coming up.
And team coverage on controversial figure, visit to the University of Florida campus. WFT Midday starts now.
You're watching WUFT Midday.
We've had a warmer week, but still temperatures continue to dip down in the evenings. This is WFT Midday, and I am Sofia Mendez.
And I am Oriana Torre. With temperatures in the 40s tonight, the cold shelter program will be available for neighbors in the city of Gainesville. Gainesville leaders anticipate severe weather conditions, including temperatures below 45 degrees Fahrenheit during the evening hours of tonight. Individuals can head to Grace Marketplace and families are welcome at St. Francis House. UF forecaster Nicole Borman is tracking how long these colder temperatures will stick around.
That's right, guys. With temperatures dropping before underneath 45 degrees, we could be seeing some cold shelters opening up for those in need tonight. We're seeing right now in Gainesville 44 tonight, 42 in High Springs, and 43 in the Stark. But later on into the afternoon, it could be getting a bit warmer. Look at that outside right now. We're not seeing many clouds, only a few streams over here. Temperatures in those low 70s, and winds are pretty low right now over Century Tower and over the stadium. But later on into our afternoon, we could be getting a little bit warmer. Right now, we're seeing those warmer weathers already in those low 70s and in those upper 60s, but they could be increasing all the way up into those mid to upper 70s. We're seeing 75 in Gainesville later, 77 in the Villages, and 76 in Crystal River. Now, later on into the week, we could be seeing some heavier weather. We're going to be seeing some rain up on Wednesday with a development going on over here on Sunday that could be pushing over to us on Wednesday. Later on to the show, I'm going to be telling you more about the mild week we have ahead, the storms we could be seeing on Wednesday, and the possibilities of some pretty strong storms.
The conservative activist and head of Turning Point USA stirred up controversy even before his arrival on UF's campus yesterday. The visit was part of his American comeback tour across college campuses. Madison, you were there when Kirk invited people to disagree with him.
The Gainesville community reacted to a conservative activist coming to town. Charlie Kirk's appearance sparked debates and protests for some. Charlie Kirk made an appearance at the University of Florida as part of his American comeback tour.
Great to be here, everybody, and we're going to do some questions, and this is what free speech is all about. Let's get started. Thanks, guys.
Part of Kirk's tour involves inviting what are called disagreeers to ask him a question. Tracy Ashe Shabazz feels neutral about Kirk.
Well, I didn't come to debate. I came to have a conversation. I feel like a debate is somebody trying to win something. I wasn't trying to win anything. I just wanted to understand where he was coming from.
He took the mic and asked about his perspective on white privilege.
White privilege is a phenomenon where white people benefit from being white.
Got it. Okay. So
Ashe Shabazz says despite the interruptions by Kirk, he felt like he was talking to a friend.
He was really open, although he deflected at times. He was very open. It felt sincere.
Maggie McDonald held signs with swastikas to make her point. She believes Kirk is a misogynist and a fascist.
He's just one representation, and everywhere I see it, everywhere I can protest it, I will.
Kirk will be heading to Florida State University next to continue the American comeback tour. At the University of Florida, Madison Ginsburg, WUFT News.
While many in the crowd came to show their disdain for Charlie Kirk, he did have a sea of supporters among the attendees. Our team coverage continues with WFT Nick Diaz, who spoke with some people who traveled far to see the conservative political activist.
I'm here on UF's Plaza of the Americas, where behind me Charlie Kirk is on the American comeback tour where he's debating UF students.
The controversial nature of the nearly 3-hour event brought supporters and protesters to the front lines, with some excited just to see Kirk.
Charlie Kirk is one of the people who helped introduce me to conservatism and conservative ideas. And yeah, I'm just here to have a good time.
Others, not so much.
I fully think he's here to farm content.
Kirk has amassed a large following on social media, which attracts a big in-person showing from supporters like Micah Stark.
I've never been to anything like this before, and I've seen thousands of TikToks of him.
Some attendees claim Kirk's team tailored certain questions to him.
That's why he's filtering questions so that he can pick which questions he wants to answer or which he's prepared to answer.
But respect was the big takeaway for others like Matthew Kidd.
But the truth is, you know, some people are who have come here are, even if they disagree with Charlie Kirk, are respectful. They're willing to engage with people who have different ideas than them. And that really is what this country is based on, and I'm glad to see it.
Kirk makes his next stop at Florida State University today. Nick Diaz, WUFT News.
To hear more from supporters and protesters of today's event and see a slideshow of pictures, you can head to our website at WFT.org.
A federal judge in San Francisco has blocked the Trump administration's mass firing of probationary federal employees. Judge William Alsop ruled that the Office of Personnel Management overstepped its authority by directing agencies to terminate these workers. The ruling responds to a lawsuit from labor unions and advocacy groups challenging the legality of the firings. The administration argued the terminations were performance-based, but critics claim they were unjustified. This decision temporarily halts the layoffs, with further hearings scheduled for March 13.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is set to meet President Donald Trump at the White House today to discuss security assurances against Russian aggression. The leaders plan to sign an economic agreement focusing on rebuilding Ukrainians' war-torn regions funded by future natural resources revenues. However, the deal lacks explicit U.S. security guarantees, which Zelensky deems essential for Ukrainians' protection.
We're working very hard to get that war brought to an end.
Can't be peace that rewards the aggressor.
The president suggests European nations should take the lead in providing security assurances, expressing reluctance for U.S. commitments. European leaders propose a peacekeeping mission contingent on the U.S. support to stabilize the region.
Attorney General Pam Bondi has released government documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, but they reveal no new information. The documents include flight logs and an address book previously available through court cases and media reports. Despite Bundy's earlier hints of significant revelations, the release has disappointed those seeking fresh details. Critics, including some conservatives, express frustration over the lack of new insights. Bundy has demanded the FBI provide additional records by Friday and investigate any potential withholding of documents.
Rose Jerome, believed to be the oldest living Holocaust survivor, has died at 113 in New York. Born in 1912 in Poland, she survived Nazi persecution by fleeing to Shanghai with her family. After World War II, they immigrated to the United States in 1947, where Jerome opened 2 knitting stores in Queens. She attributed her longevity to living with purpose, having wonderful children, and enjoying dark chocolate. Jerome passed away peacefully earlier this week, leaving behind a legacy of resilience and strength.
The U.S. experienced its first death from measles in over a decade, and more cases are popping up in other parts of the country. An unvaccinated child in West Texas died from the measles earlier this week. The outbreak spans Texas and New Mexico. Distrust and misinformation regarding vaccines has led to a drop in vaccination rates. UF Health expert Ira Longini says the measles vaccines is not the primary form of prevention, but the only one.
We're going to continue to have these outbreaks unless people get their children vaccinated with the primary vaccination when children are 12 to 15 months of age, and then a booster between 1 and 6 years of age.
Longini says some adults might need to get revaccinated for the measles, while people who already had the disease are protected for life. You might be eligible to get a measles vaccine at UF Health.
New at noon, a Levy County woman wanted for manslaughter was captured in South Georgia earlier this week. Deputies say 64-year-old Jeanette Dean was arrested in Valdosta area. They say last year she was involved in an accident that killed another person. She was initially arrested in Tampa and released on bond, but deputies say she has not shown up for her following court appearance. Dean will be held back to Levy County Jail to be held with no bond. Newberry has a new interim fire chief, Deputy Fire Chief Jason Lyman. The previous fire chief, Mike Vogel, was arrested in Ocala on DUI charges. The Main Street Daily News reports, following his arrest, Vogel was placed on administrative leave and subsequently resigned from his position. Lyman, who joined the department earlier this month, was appointed at the City Council meeting. He previously served as operations chief at a fire department in the Florida Keys.
Taking a live look over our I-75 camera, it looks like a beautiful day in north central Florida. As you can see, it looks like great weather for your afternoon commute. Now let's get over to our UF forecaster Nicole Borman with the weather for the weekend and into next week.
That's right, Oriana. The weather is looking beautiful outside right now. Look at those clear skies over Century Tower and over the stadium. Temperatures right now sitting pretty nice at those low 70s and very, very mild winds as of right now. When those temperatures are looking like that all over the top of the state. Look at that. Low 70s all over. We got those upper 80s up here in the north. A few over here on the coast. We got those lower 70s, a little bit higher than what we got in the center right here. But as we go on and for the rest of our day, we're going to be seeing a little bit of a dip in temperature as we get into the nighttime. Look at that. We're going to peak over here in those mid 70s and then continue to drop throughout the night into the low 50s, going from those 60s to those upper 50s to those low 50s later on into today. So if you're planning on going to the baseball game tonight, be sure to bring a jacket because the temperature is not going to be like this later tonight. But on Saturday, we are going to be seeing some even lower temperatures into those mid to lower 40s. Look at that all over the state. We got 44 in Gainesville, 45 in Ocala, 43 in the Star. That's why those cold shelters are opening up tonight for those in need that might need them for tomorrow morning as well. And we're going to be seeing this because of this development up here is going to be pushing down that colder air to us, giving us that cooler weather for tonight. But it's going to be warming quite up on Saturday afternoon. Look at that, those upper 70s all over. We got 78 in Ocala, 77 in Gainesville, 76 High Springs. Over here on the coast, we got 66 in Cedar Key and Crystal River because they're on the coast over there. But the rest of us are going to be seeing some pretty nice weather, so I would definitely take a walk outside if you do. But later on into the week, next week, you're not going to be able to take that walk because we're going to be seeing some rain up on Wednesday. We're going to be seeing some rain coming in from this development right here. It could be developing around Sunday time, but it's going to be pushing through over us. We're going to see how that's going to track through. As we go into the Friday and Saturday, you're going to see as those winds continue to push and that pressure system is going to be pushing that. You see that low pressure system right there, pushing it towards us, giving us a little bit of showers on Wednesday. And we're going to see a little bit of a closer look on how it's going to be for us. Oh, well, it's going to track us a little bit past through and then give us some clearer skies on Thursday. But we see as those temperatures continue to dip on Saturday, we're seeing those upper 70s, while on Sunday we're seeing a peak in those low 70s. So it's going to get just a little bit colder from that front up in the north. But here's a better look on how it's going to be looking for March. We're going to be seeing some pretty typical weather over here down in South Florida. I mean, those warm weathers and colder weather up north. But for your 7-day outlook, we're seeing a staggered of temperatures here. We're going to be going from those upper 70s down to the low 70s, back up to those 80s and back to the 60s. So definitely keep that jacket on hand because you never know what's going to happen, and definitely keep your umbrella for Wednesday.
Now let's head over to our Noticias partners for today's look on the top stories from our Spanish language audience.
Hola, soy Marina Meretz con tus noticias en 90 segundos. La Universidad de Florida es una gran institución, pero ¿cómo se compara a nivel nacional?
Según US News, la Universidad de Florida se posicionó como número 7 en las estadísticas de las mejores universidades públicas en este 2025. UF ahora ocupa el puesto número 30 entre todas las universidades nacionales, mientras que el año pasado ocupó la posición número 28. Un estudiante nos cuenta cómo se siente sobre el descenso en los rankings.
Yo creo que el hecho que bajó de ranking de verdad que no importa mucho porque igual es una de las mejores escuelas en la Florida y a mí no me importa. Pero es un poquito triste ver que una escuela tan buena haya bajado tanto.
Los estudiantes de UF asignan una gran importancia y orgullo a cómo la institución se compara con otras en la Florida y a nivel nacional. Su rango no elimina el prestigio de la universidad. UF tiene una tasa de aceptación de 24%, siendo una de las escuelas más selectivas.
Alrededor de 800 empleados han sido seleccionados para ser despedidos de la Administración Nacional Oceánica y Atmosférica. El miércoles, la administración del presidente Trump siguió adelante con sus planes de realizar despidos de gran escala en todas las agencias. Los empleados de periodo de prueba fueron despedidos el jueves con cartas diciendo que no son elegibles para continuar trabajando, agregando sus habilidades no se ajustan con las necesidades de la agencia. Estos despidos podrían llegar más de 1,000 empleados para el final de semana, siendo una gran pérdida para la Agencia Meteorológica, Climática y Ambiental. Hoy se protestará alrededor de los Estados Unidos contra la administración del presidente Trump y las compañías que lo emplean con organización de boicot de Walmart y Amazon. La Unión Popular de Estados Unidos piden que no compren en compañías grandes como Walmart, compras online o incluso llenar su tanque de gasolina. Si necesitan algo, piden que apoyan a emprendimientos en sus comunidades locales. Este boicot termina hoy a la medianoche, pero otras organizaciones también piden que no compren en Target por su falta de soporte de diversidad, equidad e inclusión. Esas fueron tus noticias en 90 segundos. Gracias por sintonizarnos.
An activist group is calling for a nationwide boycott today in what they are describing as an economic blackout. The organization called the People's Union USA is asking American consumers not to spend money for 24 hours. Late Waltman details the kind of message they are hoping to send.
No spending for 24 hours. That's the message coming from consumer activist group The People's Union. According to its website, the so-called economic blackout is intended to show them who really holds the power. The effort is led by John Schwartz, a father from New York and founder of the People's Union. In his online bio, he writes, "If we stand together, we don't just demand change, we create it." This boycott comes as some are protesting retailers like Target for rolling back DEI programs.
They respond to one thing, money, dollars. And so many of us around the country said, well, let's flex our dollar power, because that is the only thing they listen to.
Anna Tuckman, a professor of marketing at Northwestern University, has researched the impacts of company boycotts in the past. She says this one is unique because it doesn't target one specific company.
The call isn't to boycott a single brand or a single retail outlet, but it's rather calling for consumers to shut down their spending altogether.
Frustration over high prices at retailers is a driving factor for Friday's economic blackout, but Tuckman says she isn't sure what impact the spending boycott will have on the issue.
There are other factors that influences the prices that consumers face. So whether this boycott movement will have a measurable impact on prices consumers face going forward, my prediction is that it's unlikely that we will see a measurable impact.
The Internal Revenue Service has released its list of tax scams people should watch out for in 2025. Topping the list are phishing scams where fraudsters pose as legitimate organizations in the tax and financial community. Unsolicited texts or emails are sent to lure unsuspected victims into handing out their personal or financial information. Another growing concern involves incorrect tax information on social media. The IRS warns this can mislead people into bogus tax avoidance strategies and sometimes result in identity theft.
Sony is adding Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy to streaming services. Roughly 7 million people watch each one on syndicated television, but popular TV shows have been moving to streaming services lately. The Super Bowl was streamed live to Tubi, and Hulu will carry the Academy Awards Sunday. Whatever platform gets Wheel and Jeopardy will only have access to episodes the day after they air on television. Right now, the shows together generate $175 million in advertising revenue.
Increasing your physical activity could lower your risk of developing diseases like anxiety, depression, and dementia. That's according to the new preliminary research released this Thursday. Researchers analyzed data from more than 73,000 adults with an average age of 56, then compared their physical activity with instances of those diseases. It was found that even a small amount of activity can offer protection against some brain diseases. The research will be presented in April at the annual meeting of the American Academy of Neurology in San Diego. Now let's get over to WFT First at 5 anchor Marv Roaches with a look at what's coming up on First at 5 on Channel 5.
Coming up on First at 5, Blackout Friday, Doge in Florida, and pushback against a new Florida law. More about a movement boycotting major retailers today. Plus, Governor Ron DeSantis brings Doge to Florida, what this means in Gainesville. And a judge holds a hearing on a Florida law aimed at keeping children off social media platforms. All that and more at 5.
Before we go, one last check on the weather, Nicole.
Well, those temperatures outside are feeling really nice right now, but you might want to pack an umbrella for the rest of your week. On Wednesday, we could be expecting some rain, but the rest of the week looking pretty nice. Those temperatures are definitely heating up from how we've seen them last week. The lows are pretty typical right now, but definitely a bit of a staggered week, so I would keep that sweater on hand.
Thanks for joining us for WFT Midday. We're back here tomorrow for another edition.
We will see you later today for First at 5 on Channel 5. Have a great afternoon.